This is Tim Willis with ClickFunnels and Click Designs, and tonight we're going to be looking at some photo editing software. And so right now we're looking at Adobe Photoshop Express, which I have on the screen just for comparison. But what we're really going to be looking at is a program called Photopea. And so to explain kind of the reason why I'm doing this video, we need to kind of look at both. Now, as most of you know, that when I do graphics, I mostly use Click Designs to make graphics. And it's great for making graphics. It's better than Canva. The problem sometimes we have is when we have these programs that try to do everything, is they sometimes get a little, we say, watered down. But sometimes you're better off working with something that's more specialized, if only because it's more focused on that particular category of image. With an actual photographic image, if I want to do retouch or something like that, Click Designs kind of light on those abilities. Canva, I don't mess with enough, but I have a feeling it's also going to be somewhat lighter on the capabilities. And you kind of have this split where sometimes you just want to make some simple adjustments, and sometimes you want to do more than simple. So if we need to just make simple changes like contrast or brightness, or want to put a blur on, or very simple effects like that, we may not even have to go outside of ClickFunnels to do that if you have ClickFunnels 2.0, because in the image element there's now a filter section that has some simple filters that you can adjust to do that. So if all you need is something very simple like that, you may not need an outside photo editor. If you want to go further than that, then you'll probably need to go to a third-party solution. Also, it may be that you want to go ahead and get your photos looking good before you upload them to ClickFunnels. That brings us back to Photoshop Express, which is a light version of Photoshop. It is free. It is available for desktop and for PC. You will need to have an Adobe ID, which you can get for free, and you'll need to be logged into the Creative Cloud, which is another Adobe app, which is free, to access it. Now, I'm not going to go into all that of installing it right now, but this is installed on my computer, and this is the main panel. You see it gives us a choice between a pictures library or a camera. So let's take a quick look at Photoshop Express. I'm going to go ahead and pick something out from my renaming folder, and we'll just go ahead and pick the Mexican flag. It will load that up, and basically all the actions here is happening on the left hand side. We have a set of filters. There's different categories of filters we could use. Let's go with basic here, and then you click on that category, and then you'll have all these individual filters there. Right now we're set to normal. If we're to set to vibrant, you'll see how to change, and you also have a slider down here to make adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to normal, and that's basically it for your filters. Now you do have a crop tool, so you can crop and straighten things. You have a adjustment section. This is where you would work with your contrast and your brightness and stuff. So for example, here we have our exposure and set on right now, and so we can again move the slider, change the exposure. So that's those kind of adjustments. And if you go down there, you see that we also have some effects, some different things, something you can play with, but it's very much kind of limited in that it's picking a category of filter or adjustment and having one slider only to control the whole thing. You also as well have a spot heal tool, which can be useful sometimes, and a red eye tool. You also can set in borders and do these basic things like that, and that's about it. It has an auto adjust, and that's really kind of all there's to it. Oh, here's one thing. Tool has things where you can view the original and the one you changed. But other than that, other than those basic things like that in Photoshop Express, that's as far as you can go. So not a whole lot of serious editing, and most of it's sort of pick a setting and see what happens. So there's no layering or anything like that. So that is Photoshop Express. If you want to get it, like I said, you'll need to download the file, install it on your desktop, or download the file and install it on your phone. Now let's go back to Photopea. Photopea is a little different. Photopea is free. It does have a paid version, so let's go ahead and look at Photopea here. If you see, we have one that says account. We click on that. Right now, we're on the free version. I am logged in, so you'll have to log in with a Gmail address. And there's a couple other options like Facebook, stuff like that. And then there's a paid option that's for most people $5 a month. The only advantage is you have no ads, which they use to support the site, and you get some AI credits. Now, unless you're going to be using Photopea all the time, probably the AI credits is not something that's going to be very useful anyway. In addition, you have these different packages you can go for, which I'm sure have different amounts of stuff there, but we don't have to bother with that because we're doing free. Also, right now I am working out of the browser version. You can install it on your computer if you want to. I don't see a need to do that in my case because it's just something I'm going to occasionally use. Now, as to the advantages of using Photopea versus another free online photo editor, one advantage is this is based on the interface of the current version of Photoshop. It's basically a Photoshop knockoff. And of course, it's not going to equal Photoshop in all areas because Photoshop's always coming out with new stuff, but it does a reasonable simulation of the basic Photoshop functions. Now, if you look here on this main panel, we have all these drives that we attach to. Go to our device, we can hook up to OneDrive, Google Drive, some shared drive folders, all this stuff really I don't know because I just pulled from folders on my computer. And the other great advantage, besides the interface matching very much what the current version of Photoshop looks like, if you're used to using that, it will be familiar, is that it is made to handle the Photoshop files like PSD, AI, and XD, and it will also handle Figma files and something called .sketch, which I'm not sure what that is. If you're really into photography, it also handles RAW files. And if you know what a RAW file is, you're a pretty serious photographer. So that's kind of the overview. Let's go ahead and we are going to open up a picture from my computer. Let's go ahead and pick something different this time. We will choose this radio tower. It's going to load it up. And you see here, now it looks very similar to the way Photoshop looks, except we're not paying for Photoshop. And Photoshop, I forget what the exact price is, but if you just want Photoshop, that's going to hit your wallet for $20 a month or so. So here we have a picture, and you'll notice the layout. We have a toolbar here. We've got some information right now on whatever tool we have selected and some options. We've got a long toolbar here of different tools, some of which are hidden, just like Photoshop. And so they're matching the tools in Photoshop for the most part here. Also, on this right side panel, we have a layer section. We have, again, all these different sections which correspond to what you will typically see in Photoshop for the most part. So if you're familiar using Photoshop, this is going to be very convenient and very familiar to you. Let's take a look here. So we got our picture here. So we have like the filters if we wanted to use a filter. Let's do a blur on this. And let's go do a motion blur. See, it brings up a box just like you would have in Photoshop. And we have an adjustment slider that we can do like that. Click OK. Now it's blurred. What we can also do here, take our history there. And you see we can go to our history right there. Also, we can just go backwards and do an undo. Go back. We have things like our properties that will come out here, your text, formatting, your CSS, all that. Also, you can create layers. So, for example, if we want to go here and you see it's got the layer icons right at the bottom. It may be hard to see on the video, but you've got your layer icons just like you would have with Photoshop. All right, there we go. All right, so we clicked on the new layer icon at the bottom, and now we have a new layer in Photoshop that we could use. And we can delete that and get back to where we were. So I'm not going too deep into how to use Photopea in this video. I'm just demonstrating what it is and basic functionality. And so if you want to use it, use it. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. And again, like I said, I'm not a Photoshop person, but if you are a Photoshop person, it's going to have that very familiar interface and set of tools that you're going to be used to in Photoshop. Now, of course, if it's something that's fairly new in Photoshop, Photopea may not have that, but all these classic tools we have, like here we have the magic wand, the quick selection, object selection, they have a version of that in Photopea. That is Photopea. It's free. You know, it's probably got more firepower than you're going to need most of the time. But if you do have that situation where you need a lot of photo imaging firepower, then it's a tool that can get that done, and it will do it done price of free, which is always a good thing. So that's it for right now. My name is Tim Willis. I'm a certified ClickFunnels funnel builder. I make demonstration tutorial videos on ClickFunnels, quick design, and other useful tools for funnel hackers and funnel hacking. That's the video for tonight. I'm also going to include in the description a video that kind of runs through how to use Photopea, kind of just a quick start video, about 13 minutes, for anybody that wants to delve deeper into what Photopea can do. That's it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.